Hey, we've got 9 o'clock. We'll have an echo happen in here. We will get started with the regular board meeting this morning. Here's your opportunity to remove anything off the consent agenda. I would like to do that. Where is that echo coming from? Testing. Testing. Yeah.
I only have the only one that had problem hooking up today.
No.
Was planning to come in today, and then after night shift yesterday, and then spraying till 10 o'clock last night, I didn't wake up as fresh as a daisy.
Yeah. We are live, but we have an echo. Is this one? Yeah. It's no. I don't know. Testing. Well, seems to be okay. Just a ghost. All right, we will get started this morning. Call the meeting to order. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? That motion carries. That brings us down to development services. I will go to the CAO for item B1.
Chair, consent agenda reminder, please.
There is the one item to be looking for a motion for the consent agenda to adopt it. Moved, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? That motion carries. Down to B1 now. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek direction from the board regarding enforcement against property owners of 4600 North Naramata Road in relation to placement of a structure without a building permit. There is no PowerPoint presentation. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion will be on the screen.
Okay, I'll go to Director Federico. Direction on this one?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So an alternate motion for notice on folio, no further action pending subject approval.
Okay, is there a seconder for that motion? It's seconded, it's on the floor. It is still what we would classify as a negative motion, I guess, with the notice on title. So if the applicant is in the room and wanted to address the board, now would be the opportunity to do so. If you're here and want to speak to it, raise your hands. If not, we will deal with it. Am I missing anybody online, Lewis? No? Okay. Any discussion on it? Director Monteith.
Thank you through the chair. I couldn't figure out what part of the building is the whole building that is in violation, or because they do have an active permit, I saw.
Okay, we'll go to staff.
So the history on this is they built a new single-family dwelling and the yurt was already there. So there was discussions with the inspector to have that removed in the project, which never happened. So the yurt was constructed on a deck. We have confirmed since this agenda was posted that there is plumbing inside that. They have made application to make it legal. They haven't gone through all the steps. There will be some work to be done there, but they are actively working towards.
Okay, any other questions or discussion on this? Director Taylor.
The staff can just remind us to why you would recommend notice in the folio as opposed to notice on title, and why you are recommending notice on title in this instance.
Over to staff.
So in this situation, we did have pretty good evidence that this was being used as an accessory dwelling. So there were people living in there. We had never confirmed the life safety, as opposed to just a standalone yurt with no plumbing, really no ability to habitate this beyond what a typical tent would be. This is set up for full-time living.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we have the motion on the screen. We'll call the question. This is a corporate vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Director Taylor? That motion does carry. Down to item B2, building infraction at 218 Colmont Road in Area H, CAO.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek direction from the board regarding enforcement against the property owners of 218 Colmont Road in relation to placement of a structure without a building permit. Again, there's no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer any questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, I'll go to Director Coyne Senior. Direction on this one?
I'll move the administrative recommendation, please.
Okay, moved. Is there a seconder for that? It's on the floor. And we would ask once again if the applicant is in the room and wanted to address the board, or online and wants to address the board. Now is your opportunity to do that. Not seeing anyone. Am I missing anybody online? Okay. Any further discussion on this? We'll call the question again, corporate vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Down to B3, bylaw infraction in Area I at 346 Highway 97, CAO.
The purpose of this report is to seek direction from the board regarding enforcement against the property owners at 346 Highway 97 in relation to building without a permit, roof over 2 shipping containers. I believe they're actually tractor trailers that the roof's been built over. Staff are here to answer questions. Again, there's no PowerPoint, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, I'll go to Director Monteith.
I'd like to make the administrative recommendation, please.
Okay, mover, is there a seconder for that? Thank you. It's on the floor. And once again, I'll ask if the applicant is in the room or individual is in the room, please. Yeah, come up to the front. And on the little console in front of you, if you could hit the center button, and the light should turn green and you're free to address the board.
Yeah, all we're seeking is till the 15th of September to take this structure down. Reasons being the utilization of the reefers through the summer because of the produce on the farm. We just need to have, we're trying to find somewhere else to move the stuff to. So just basically asking till the 15th of September.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant here? All right, thank you, sir. We'll have staff come back up in case there's some questions for them. And Director Monteith, start with you.
Thank you through the chair. So the applicant has made a great point. So if possible, I'd like to amend my motion to give him to September 30th.
Okay, we'll have that considered an amendment. Is there a seconder to the amendment? Seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? The motion is amended. So back to the motion as amended. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Down to item C1, Development Services, a Crown referral. Over to the CAO.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is Front Counter BC has referred to the Regional District a notice of work application for a permit under the Mines Act for a proposed sand and gravel pit at 27600 Garnet Valley Road. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay. A direction on this one. Director Gettins first and then over to Holmes. Go ahead.
I'll move the recommendation.
Moved. Assuming you're seconding it. Perfect. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. We'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item C2, a development variance in Area H, CAO.
This application is seeking a variance to the maximum permitted building height for an accessory building or structure that applies to the subject property at 453 Taylor Mill Drive to allow for the construction of an overhead accessory building used to store and secure equipment. Again, there's no PowerPoint, but staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, go to Director Coyne, Senior.
I'd like to make the alternative recommendation to allow the building.
Okay, so you're moving to allow. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded, it's on the floor. Any discussion? Director Taylor.
Yeah, I'd just like to hear the director's rationale.
Back to Director Coyne.
Where this building is in against the bank. It's probably at least 100-foot tall bank that there's no neighbors above it that would be affected at all. It won't impede anybody's view. This is an old trailer park that the guys have to have necessary equipment to do their snow removal, maintenance, all that good stuff. And currently they have a couple of tractor trailer units there that they're storing all their stuff in. All that stuff will go away and it'll clean it up, and there'll just be one nice building in against the bank that won't affect anybody. All of their, like, there's been nobody complain about it to me. They've went and interviewed people there and everybody was happy with it. So I see absolutely no reason why we can't let this go.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. This is again a corporate vote. All those, actually, unweighted rural, my mistake. Looked at the wrong one. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Over to C3, temporary use in Area A, CAO.
This application is seeking to authorize the operation of a short-term rental accommodation use on the subject property at 117 McGuire Avenue through the issuance of a short-term rental permit. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, if I could ask someone to move this for me, moved. Thank you, seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Again, rural vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. C4, review of large holdings, one site specific zone on the Anarchist Mountain, CAO.
The purpose of this report is to remove the site-specific zone provisions that apply to approximately 25 parcels fronting Ravenhill Road and 9 Mile Place in electoral area A. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay. I'm okay with moving this. If someone will do that for me, moved and seconded, thank you. Any discussion on this? Again, not seeing any hands in the rural vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. C5, short-term rental accommodation program fee review, CAO.
It is being proposed to amend the regional district fees and charges bylaw in order to clarify the application fees to be applied to short-term rental accommodation permits and temporary use permits for tourist accommodation uses. Again, there's no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Looking for direction on this one. Someone prepared to move it? Moved. Thank you. Seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Again, no hands in the corporate vote. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Down to finance, D1, reserve fund expenditure for the Oliver Community Kitchen Project, CAO.
The purpose is to amend the 2026 Recreation Hall Oliver Area C Oliver Community Kitchen Project to include an increase of $387,279 funded from Electoral Area C Community Works Fund Reserve to complete the project. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
I'll go to Director Chahal.
I'd like to move the administrative recommendation.
Moved, seconded, thank you. Any discussion? Again, a corporate vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Down to D2, five-year financial plan amendment, CAO.
The purpose is to amend the 2026 to 2030 5-year financial plan to include a regional economic development project funded through grants and partnership with the City of Penticton. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Again, direction here, mover. Thank you. Is there a seconder for it? Okay, seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Director Roberts, go ahead.
There, found the mute button. Again, glad that this is going through a granting process. For those of us that have economic development, especially in our sub-region of the Similkameen, and hoping that it at the same time can work in collaboration with projects that we're working on so that we truly are bridging some of those gaps in regards to meeting the needs of the whole region. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Not seeing any hands, we'll call the question on this one. Again, a corporate vote. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. D3, Statement of Financial Information, CAO.
Local governments are required to file a statement of financial information annually, also known as the SOFI report. SOFI must be made available for public viewing by June 30th, 2026 and be accessible for the following 3 years. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, someone prepared to move this one? Moved, thank you. Seconder on the floor. Any discussion or questions? Online, Director Roberts.
Yeah, I found this year was quite a shock when mine doubled doing the exact same thing as I did the year previous. So some synergies, some things that we need to probably look at on, how do we mitigate some of this if these costs keep on escalating at the level that they are. Again, these are not over and above things from the past. There's just the cost of hotels, venues, events, like UBCM's costs, etc. So I would love us to have a sit down at some time and have some discussions on how to be more effective in regards to the use of some of these events that are important, but at the same time, can we streamline our spending? Thank you.
Never a bad suggestion. Director Gettins.
Thanks to the chair. I find that an interesting comment, actually, Director Roberts, because mine jumped quite a bit, but that was in direct relation to doing advocacy for Sage Mesa last year and going to 2 separate events in person. So when I took a look at my expenses, I can see why there's more on my report. So I'm curious to hear more about how yours doubled by not going to any extra events, because that's clearly where mine came from. So I think we should talk about that. I also do think that, when we do go to places like UBCM, and especially last year for the Sage Mesa water system, we had a lot of FaceTime with ministers that I wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. And when I went to meet in person with Minister Anderson, that again was another FaceTime, and same with MCM. So I think there's good value. I mean, clearly it didn't result in any funds coming for the Sage Mesa group, but if we weren't at those conferences in front of those folks, I don't think we would have the same impact. So I'm curious to hear more about how yours doubled without doing anything different.
Okay. Director Roberts.
Some of mine is gas. I think I did a lot more Zoom meetings or WebEx before, but also the venue going to Victoria versus the Vancouver costs seem to be quite different. I again don't attend the banquets and the additional costs of certain meals and things. And but I was quite shocked at the increase in price. So, I'm trying to find ways to still continue to meet the needs of the constituents through those kinds of face-to-face meetings, because they are important. I'm already kind of dreading looking at this coming year, because I don't always go to Silga, and I went this time. So that'll be added to my costs. So and again, probably something that's different from yourself is that I drive a greater distance, so my travel gas and fuel is a little bit more. But again, it was quite a jaw dropper on the increase for me. I also understand that because we hold for the future UBCM, the hotel, all those costs are up, so it shows on the SOFI as quite an increase. But again, I don't discount the value.
Director Coyne. It's not on.
No, it is on. It's not working again. That one's working. One of the, organizers of one of the conventions, I can tell you our costs have gone up significantly. This past year, you would have seen, if you would have looked at your registration at Silga, we made you pay for more things. That was to try to keep the convention itself at a reasonable rate. And then if you wanted to do extra stuff, then that was going to cost. I think one thing that this board can do, and I suggest that all region boards do the same thing, is we request UBCM start looking at locations outside of the board plan, because the price of going down there has become unobtainable for some communities. And we've actually seen communities, especially in the north and smaller communities, just opt not to participate in UBCM. And as our main advocacy group for the province, they need to hear that from us, that they need to figure out a way to make it cheaper and more affordable for rural communities across the province.
Again, a good suggestion. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Director Johansson.
I know that we've talked about it a little bit, and I think one thing that might be, I'm not sure how the policy is with the RDOS, but when it comes to FCM, I think that's a conference that's maybe pushing the limits of maybe just being able to go just because you want to. Maybe you should have to get approval from the board. Something to think about in the future. Thank you.
Okay. Not seeing any more hands, we'll call a question on this. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Brings us down to legislative services. RDOS committee structure. Over to the CAO.
Thank you, Chair. As we are 6 months into our pilot, the purpose of this report is for the board to provide direction on the governance structure of regional district meetings. Again, there's no PowerPoint, but staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, direction from the board on this one. Someone prepared to move this recommended motion there? Moved. Is there a seconder? It's on the floor. Any discussion on that? Director Taylor, start with you.
Personally, I'm struggling a bit. I like the structure, but what I see in practice is we're still struggling with when does stuff go to the electoral area committee, or when does it go to the committee of the whole, or when does it go directly to the board? So personally, while I like the new structure and I wouldn't want to move away from it, before we adopt this, I would personally like to see us go another 6 months and still try to get a better handle on how and when we send stuff to the EA committee as opposed to direct. Okay. If I could just ask, there would still be room to improve those functions or where things go in the future, even if this is adopted. Is that correct, Ms. Batten?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, you are correct. This is the structure. What is dealt with at each of the meetings is still open for moving those items around.
Okay. So there's room for changes there. Director Roberts.
Yeah, I'd just like to back up Director Taylor's response, because that's my feeling as well. Looking to have, you know, things going through the EA and not necessarily being duplicated at the board meeting, you know, basically being able to have it that if people want to look at it and want to make those choices, but again, sometimes we seem to be just in the same boat where we're having the issue brought up multiple times and not sure if we're really taking appropriate use of our time. Thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion on this, Director Barkwell?
The concept, I certainly agree with it, but I also agree with Director Roberts. If you know, you got to choose your agenda carefully. I just wondered, what is the relationship between the first half of that motion and the second half?
Go to Ms. Batten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it is my understanding, so from when we brought this originally forward to the board in December of 2025, there was conversation from the board that they liked the Protective Services Committee and felt that it was very important. However, over the last 6 months, the Protective Services Committee has only met twice, and it was both to receive the RCMP presentation. The RCMP presentation can go to a committee of the whole or the regular board meeting. However, because we are moving into our usual higher or heightened wildfire season, we are suggesting that we keep the Protective Services Committee in case there are regional emergencies that need to be dealt with separately. However, if the board chooses or would rather not have that Protective Services Committee, they are welcome to amend that motion.
Okay. And I think just further to that, I think that's because the Protective Services Committee was named as, the word is escaping me, but we oversee emergency management. And that's where that wording is still in there, I think. So that would need to be changed if we do away with the Protective Services Committee. But I seen a hand again, Director Barkwell.
It makes sense that the Protective Services, that the RCMP reports go to the committee of the whole or else already, and then the Protective Services, but I don't see that part in there as a, as part of the motion. And it makes sense that the Protective Services Committee should meet for emergencies. That just seems self-evident. So, I can't argue against the motion, but I think it could be a little bit clearer where it's headed.
Response?
My response is whatever the board wishes, we can add in and yeah.
Director Holmes.
Personally, I don't see any point for Protective Services Committee. I don't see any reason why the RCMP can't present to the committee of the whole or board. I can't see why regional emergencies can't be dealt with at the committee of the whole or the board. I just don't understand the purpose of this whatsoever.
Okay. There is the option to not have that one if that's the board's wish. It would just need to amend this. Director Barkwell.
Well, I guess Director Holmes kind of continued on my thoughts there. I mean, the Protective Services Committee is in essence a committee of the whole. It's not, say, a subcommittee of certain regional areas where they have, they have their responsibilities. Like flood and wildfire is usually the case. And cities have their own set of organization, but we also have the group. So do we need a Protective Services Committee at all? And if staff can provide a rationale, and great. If they can't, then let's vote to eliminate that and simplify things.
Go to staff. Is there a need for it, or can it be done through another mechanism? That's basically the question.
We'll just ask our senior manager of Protective Services to comment.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, we're actually very happy to come to the committee of the whole and or the board for any issues that we have. It's a board decision, most of the things that we do, so we're happy to do it that way.
Okay. Thank you for that. So is there a desire to amend the motion to remove the Protective Services Committee? Director Barkwell?
I'll make the motion. Has this been?
It's moved and seconded as it is.
Okay, so it's an amendment.
We just need to amend it if that's the desire.
By removing the Protective Services Committee and having their functions done as a committee of the whole.
Okay. See if there's a seconder for that. All right. And just wait till the motion is on the floor, but did you have a comment on it, Director Gilbert? Seconded, okay. Director Roberts, you want to comment?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with this one. I actually thought that was what we were going to do originally, and as being the chair of the Protective Services, I remember being kind of shocked when all of a sudden I was chairing it. I thought it was supposed to be part of committee of the whole, so I don't see that as being a problem. I think it's streamlining as we should, and I don't see the necessity for it being completely separate.
Okay. Any other comments? Call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Director Bush is opposed, but the motion does carry. So on the motion as amended, any further discussion? Director Taylor.
Yep, I'm still of the opinion that I think we gotta iron out how we're gonna do this right before we take put this on the shelf and forget about it for another 2 or 3 years. I would like to see that process honed in.
Okay. Do you want to comment, Ms. Batten?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I might suggest to the board that when we move into the new term, after the new board is elected, we can bring that forward as one of the decisions for the new board to make. Is there chemistry?
Okay. Director Barkwell.
I guess my question is for Director Taylor. Exactly, are you referring to the items that the electoral area committee deals with? Is that the concern?
Yeah, it's just my feeling that we've wound up, and we're spending a lot of time discussing it now, but I feel we bring stuff to the board sometimes that needs to have been discussed at the EA committee. And I'd like to see that process refined and documented so that we do it right. And my concern adopting this motion now is that we won't actually get that refinement done. We'll continue to kind of muck our way through it as we go. So,
okay. Director Roberts?
Yes, thank you. And follow up to that. Again, it's thinking that a lot of stuff too that we bang around at the EA then should go on consent agenda. And if the municipality directors want to look at it, it's there, it can be brought back out on the table. But sometimes it seems like we're rehashing what we've already hashed out and just trying to streamline it. So wanting to make sure that we clean up that process. And I agree with statement from Ms. Batten that it'd be good in regards to this, the new board of next year.
Okay, I've seen the two hands there. Director Taylor, I'll start with you and then Barkwell.
So just a question to staff.
Sure.
So at the end of this term, does the new board again pick the committees it's going to have, or do these committees carry over into the next term?
Ms. Batten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as it stands, the current committees would move forward, but what I'm recommending is that this be brought forward as an item for consideration of the new board, whether they'd like the committee structure as it stands, and we'll explain some of the challenges that we've been coming up against. Otherwise, we can offer some suggestions, some history, and then the board can decide whether they wish to make any changes.
Okay, Director Barkwell.
So aren't we really talking about establishing a policy for what goes before the electoral area committee and that process? And maybe that can be worked out in the electoral area committee.
It's possible, but it probably is a process and would be separate from this specifically. Director Federico.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I see validity in moving it forward to the new term, but then at the same time, depending on the composition of the board, they may, if you have fairly new directors who aren't really quite sure, they're going to come into this going, what are we doing? So if you're coming in already with a set structure, at least for a year or two into that term, they can then make that determination, and then from there they can choose. This will kind of be an ebb and flow as it goes, and so at any point in time, we can bring forward a motion to have staff look at it, adjust it, and we can have those conversations at the EA committee. So I don't, regardless of whether we stay in a trial or we move into permanence, it's not set in stone. We can change it and adapt it at any time.
Yeah. All right, not seeing any other hands, I'm going to call the question on this. On the motion as amended, all those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Director Taylor is opposed and the motion does carry. Down to E2, corporate donations and naming rights policy amendment, CAO.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to ensure regional district policies are relevant and reflect current practice. There is no PowerPoint. Staff are here to answer questions, and the recommended motion is on the screen.
Okay, direction on this one. Someone prepared to move this or a different direction? You're moving it. There's a mover, a seconder. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Looks like everybody's comfortable with it, so we'll call a question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Down to CAO reports. Over to the CAO. Mr. Fill-In, I should add, is just filling in for Jim today. So go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So the first item is an update on the strategic actions work plan, and I will ask Mr. Hatch to provide a verbal update.
Over to you, Mr. Hatch.
Thanks very much. So I just want to start with an update on progress of where we're at. The last update was about 6 weeks ago. And then we have a few changes to the work plan that we'd like to bring forward. So currently we're 46% through the year. For actions that are supposed to be ending by the end of June 30th, we've identified 14 projects. 5 of those are complete, and that average percentage is 62%. So a little bit of catch up to do there. For actions that are ending by the end of the year, we're tracking 176 projects and 3 additional with contingents. That overall percentage is 34%. Which has increased 11% from the last update on on May 7th. When we track these bi-weekly tracking, we have comparison data from 2024 and 2025. And when we look back at that and like to bring a report to the board in July, comparing to the last 2 years, we're on track with where we were in 2025, within 1%. So we're doing a good job of keeping track of that. And staying on track where we need to go, although that percentage seems low. So to date, 13 projects are complete, and there's been 1 additional project completed in the last few weeks. That new project completed was by the Parks team. It was to explore the bridge and cleanup on Mount Nikwala in partnership with PIB. So some of the work has been done there on that project. Today, we're bringing 2 amendments to the board for consideration. The first amendment in the report is to add a project to the work plan. This is a project that was currently on our holding list. It was the installation of mobile mats in Ottawa Falls. So we'd like to move that project from the holding plan onto the active work plan, and our capital projects team and Parks team are ready to move forward with that. In exchange for that, we've identified, or the projects team has identified, a project to be removed from the work plan. This is regarding the Christie Kenyon Park drainage ditch design. The reason for this was the removal of the scope. Due to the scope being suitable for the new municipalities to manage and deliver. So it's sort of a balance between those 2 projects, and that's currently where we're at. Thank you.
Make that change. We need a motion. Mover, seconder, thank you. Any discussion on that? Not seeing any hands. Call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Anything further, Mr. Hatch? No? Back to the CAO.
Thank you, Chair. So F2, the province is seeking input from local governments as part of its budget 2027 consultation through the parliamentary committees. This is an opportunity for the board to advocate on regional priorities directly into the provincial budget process. Submissions are due by June 19th, so we didn't get a whole lot of heads up. But staff have drafted a letter. We recommend proceeding with a submission focused on small number of high impact priorities that align with the existing board strategic priorities. That ensures the RDOS is represented in the process and maintains a focused and credible message. The draft letter Attached to the report recommends continued or enhanced provincial support in the following areas: sewer and water infrastructure funding, emergency management capacity and funding, subsidized and affordable housing, and child care access and affordability. So that's what staff have included in the draft letter, but we're happy to amend if the board wishes to add anything further.
Okay. Direction from the board, Director Taylor?
Yeah, I really appreciate the brief that staff have done and draft letter that you've prepared. I think it's essential that we put this kind of information to advocate for what our needs.
Okay, you're moving it by chance?
I thought that was clear. Sorry, I'm moving it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Thank you. Discussion, anything further, Director Fedrigo? And then Roberts.
Thank you to the chair. We have emergency management, which is wonderful. Just wondering about a blurb on Fire Smart and whether we want to put anything in there. You can ask Sean and Deb if they have comment on whether that's Fire Smart's continuing in the budget or not.
Do we have a response there, staff?
Yeah, it's at the current phase here, it's still unknown. The RDOS has an application in over to UBCM, however, it has yet to be awarded. And there isn't any funding for the following Fire Smart season yet that has been available from UBCM.
Okay, go ahead, Director.
Yeah, so
Fedrigo.
follow up on that is that, can we put a blurb of that in this report going to the province saying, hey, Fire Smart, under our emergency management, like, can we ask the province to continue funding that?
Yes, please.
I would think it's an important thing there as well. Yeah, good catch. I had Director Roberts and then Coyne.
Yeah, thank you. And kind of along the same lines as Director Fedrigo, hoping that under emergency management that also incurs, structural support in regards to capital around like fire halls, apparatus, the different kinds of supports we can get, and also being able to support at the provincial level, cost reductions for small brigades, and the look at apparatuses and how things are set up right now makes changes in small communities almost impossible. So the funding model as it relates to rural and remote fire departments and brigades, I'm still wanting to see that, we're supporting their first responder programs, their a need for some space around the use of their apparatuses, that they're not tied down to specific dates versus the safety of a vehicle and the pumps. So that kind of discussion. So I'm wondering whether or not, is that something that falls under emergency management, or is that something that needs to be separate in regards to, capital project support and equipment and training? Thank you.
I'll go to staff on that. Go ahead.
Through the chair, that actually would go through the Office of the Fire Commissioner, which would be under the the Solicitor General.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be under emergency management and climate readiness.
Nor would it probably be in this letter specifically on the budget then, or would it?
I don't know. Sorry. You'd have to look at that.
Director Coyne?
Yeah. Okay, it's working this time. Okay. There's nothing on here about trails or trail maintenance, so I think we need to add some trails. We are being expected to take on the entire cost of recreation in BC because the province is decided not to fund, for the most part, trail maintenance that they helped create, and now they're downloading it onto local governments. So I think it would be good to have in here, and we're looking at the KVR as a whole, from Area E all the way to Osuis, all the way up to Similkameen. And if we're going to have to pay for that ourselves, it's not going to happen. So I think that should be in this letter somewhere, because the province doesn't want to hold the funds, they need to put it back.
I'm assuming we can have that added? It's probably a worthwhile suggestion.
Yes, Chair, that's the direction from the board. Absolutely, we can have that added to the existing draft letter.
Okay. Director Taylor?
Yeah, I think staff have done an admirable job of putting this together. They had very limited time. It's due tomorrow. So I think we gotta, I just know we gotta have this in tomorrow.
Yeah, we are running short on time for sure, but Director Roberts.
To follow up on Director Coyne's statements, is it something in regards to just even when we talk about more widely the recreational infrastructure in regards to like highways, recreational sites, like we've seen that big push supposedly we were going to have for Highway 3. Then there was with FIFA where we're going to go, and when we look at pullouts and signs and washrooms and and trails, all these different things that have been provincial assets in the past are now falling apart and not being maintained, whether or not it's not having enough rubbish receptacles or having enough washrooms open or that kind of things we brought up. Is that something that would fit if you use the right language around infrastructure that includes trails and rec sites? To follow up on Director Coyne's statement, I'm just trying to look to see if that can be a natural tag on. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure. Go to staff.
Chair, again, staff are here to take direction from the board. So we focused a bit on water and sewer, but certainly we can expand to other infrastructure components.
Okay. So we do have the motion on the floor. Is there a desire to add those specifics? We've suggested them. Okay. Move to add those items discussed as amendments to this. Seconded. Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Thank you. And then on the motion as amended, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you for that. Anything further, CAO? Oh, yes, one more item. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So item F3, Fortis BC a policy review. This report is, we're bringing this to the board to determine whether RDOS participates in Fortis BC's review of its main extensions and connection policies and to what level we participate. These policies essentially drive how the cost of extending natural gas service is calculated and shared. So for RDOS, primary concern is impacts to rural and lower density communities where servicing costs can already be very challenging. We have a June 22nd deadline. So again, short notice turnaround for if we want to register as an intervener. However, we have until September 10th if we want to provide a letter of with our comments and concerns. So from a staff perspective, we would recommend submitting a letter of comment. This allows the RDOS to clearly put rural servicing affordability and development concerns on record while avoiding the more significant staff time and resource commitment associated with full intervener status. The key consideration again for the board is the level of effort relative to impact. So staff needs a focused letter that achieves that balance at this stage. It allows us up until September 20th or 10th to further analyze what they've sent to us and put together a detailed list of comments and concerns that send their way.
Okay, Director Bush.
Yeah, so I did this, represented the regional district, I don't know, back 10 years ago. Basically, you sit on a board, you don't have any input. It's just totally a waste of time and money. But, unless we had a specific project, and it's all about natural gas. Right? So if we had a specific project, then it would be good to be an intervener, but I don't recommend it.
Okay, Director Coyne, did I see a hand from you?
Yeah, I was just gonna make the motion to send the letter.
Okay, you're moving, sending a letter, seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion on that? I'm assuming since we've got time, the letter will be, well, the information will be looked at and the letter would come back to the board for details and if it meets what we're after.
Correct, Chair.
Okay. Call the question on this then. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Director Holmes is opposed. Motion does carry. Anything further, CEO?
If I may, I will ask our Protective Services team to provide a verbal update on the Grasshopper Mountain wildfire.
Over to you, folks. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay, so as an update here at the Grass Mountain, out at the wildfire, it actually had the remains at 57 hectares. The RDOS COC is at a level 1 actively in coordination with BC Wildfire out of the Tulane Fire Department, out of the town of Princeton, Upper Smoky, and other agencies. As it states right now, out of the BC Wildfire has approximately out of the 50 individuals on site. They have air tankers and helicopters actively on site as well. They've been hitting it really hard for the past 48 hours. But the weather's looking pretty good in the 5-day outlook. It is hot and dry, but the winds are trailing it down. And that's obviously going to change as the day goes by. Again, I just want to thank you very much over to the town of Princeton. They have been helping out a lot with Ed Atkinson in particular. He's been very good on site and helping out the community, as well as the Tulane Volunteer Fire Department that has been doing active patrols in the community and working with homeowners. So again, I just want to throw out a big thank you over to the volunteers and the community itself. Our E911 system itself had a planned upgrade this week. Obviously, when an upgrade happens, there's a fire that happens as well. So we've actually deployed our EOC. We have a mobile a repeater system as well that we've had in place. So that's really helped out for the ground crews and the fire department. So that's a really good asset for our EOC that we've actually deployed in the community that's helped out the fire department. Other than that, our EOC is actively monitoring the situation and will provide updates as the event changes or hopefully the fire gets out soon.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Start with Director McCordoff.
Thank you. I've heard about this quite often, not only from the RDOS, but on the news. And they do announce on there several times that Tulameen is very close to hope. And I'm thinking that that gives everybody totally, they'll say, oh, well, we won't worry about it. It's not anywhere in our area. So I'm hoping that if that happens on the news again, somebody from here would probably phone and correct them. Good, thank you.
Yeah, I can pass that along over to the comment section for sure.
Okay, any other comments? All right, thank you very much for the update. And let's hope this isn't an early season. Crossing the fingers for sure. Anything further, CAO?
Chair, we should also say a big congrats to the Tulameen and District Volunteer Fire Department. Chief Jody Woodford and their team has completed the training required to reintroduce medical first response services. So this is a reflection of the team's strong commitment to public safety and community well-being. So big congratulations to them. Yesterday, we had our CAO and Senior Manager of Planning, probably our Senior Manager of Comms, and I'm not sure a few others attended pop-up office in Naramata as part of the Naramata market. I understand that went very well. And last but not least, I would like to introduce Philippa Harding, our new Deputy Corporate Officer. So if you could kindly stand up. So big welcome to Philippa. We're certainly happy to have her here as part of the RDOS team.
Welcome.
Thank you. And that is it for me, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. That brings us down to Chair's report. I will only say that the biggest item that we've been dealing, or I've been involved with, has still been the incorporation issue, and hopefully that's going to resolve itself here in the near future. Director's motions. Anything there from directors desiring to make any motions? I don't think we have any on the list today. Not seeing anything. Board members' verbal updates. Anything to report from your communities? Director Coyne, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I just want to give a big congratulations to the Princeton Rodeo. They had one heck of a rodeo last weekend. I was told there was over 3,000 passes sold, over 1,000 people at the dance, and 300 participants in the rodeo last year. And they were on Cowboy TV. So one heck of a show, and congratulations. And it was a great weekend.
Sounds like it. Way to go. Director Fedrigo.
Thank you, though, Chair. I just want to thank staff for coming out to the market last night. We weren't the most popular booth, so I'm gonna take that as we're doing okay. We did have a few residents pop by, so it's just nice to have the presence in the community. Some didn't know who Jim was, so it made for some very frank conversation, which I think is great.
All right. Anybody else have anything from their communities? Not seeing anything there. Board representation. MFA and MIA are not till UBCM. So down to OBWB, anything there, Director Holmes?
Not really, just there's drought everywhere.
Okay. Drought. Film Commission, anything there, Director Coyne?
No, our AGM keeps being bumped around, so I think it's in July sometime.
Okay. ORL, Okanagan Regional Library, nothing there for now. Sterile insect release, nothing there. Simia, nothing. Starling Control, we don't have any. We got a recent report from them. Etsy BC, anything there? Director McCordoff.
Yes, thank you. Today there is a wine and cheese at Greta Ranch celebrating the 20th anniversary of LTBC. I think you have had invitations to that. Certainly you're welcome. If you haven't, please let me know and I can forward you that information. So it is combined with our in-person meeting. So we meet today and we stay overnight. We're staying at the Summerland Resort and meet all day tomorrow. So that's just to go over all of our policies. And we do 2 meetings a year like that and 2 meetings on Zoom. So today and tomorrow are the in-person meetings. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. Collaborative leadership table, anything to report there, Director Roberts?
We still haven't had a meeting set, still to be announced. Thank you.
Okay. That brings us down to the closed section, and that in accordance with section 91E, I, and 92B of the Community Charter, the board closed the meeting to the public on the basis of the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality, and the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and the provincial government or the federal government or both, or between the provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party, between the municipality and another local government, or between another local government and a third party, or finally between a municipality and a First Nation or a prescribed Indigenous entity, or between a First Nation or a prescribed Indigenous entity and a third party. So based on that, looking for a motion to go on in camera. Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. I'll give a little
think we're pretty much ready to start the hospital district meeting. If people could get back to their chairs. Motion to adjourn. Alrighty, we'll get going here. Call this meeting of the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District to order. What's the time here? At 11:08 a.m. Look for a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated. Moved. Second. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. I got some minutes to adopt at the May 21st, 2026 minutes of the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District Board be adopted as circulated. Adopt those minutes. Moved. Second. Call a question on that. All in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried as well. And we'll move right into our delegations. Our first delegation from Jim Patterson Center for Health Systems. Betty Brown here, Innovation Liaison, Government and Community. Give us an overview of the center. So I'll pass it over to you, Betty. Oh, you just need to turn your mic on there.
Sorry. Here, I think that's a bit better. It's my pleasure today to have the opportunity to share with you an organization that's not yet a year old called the Jim Patterson Center for Health Systems Learning and Innovation. The center is the first of its kind social enterprise. It is a for-profit model with a single shareholder, and the single shareholder is the Kelowna Hospital Foundation. Any proceeds that we earn throughout the year will be turned over to the KGH Foundation and returned back into healthcare improvements. So today I'm just going to tell you a high-level overview of our organization and the benefits to local government. We have an active strategy to engage local governments and to do it equitably, because we feel that there's a lot of potential for improved healthcare and our focus is on rural and remote communities. So I think I've advanced my own slides. Right? Okay, there we go. Nope. There. So it's brand new. I have actually presented to this group previously in my capacity with Interior Health, and I was working with Dr. Jerry Carr. I know some of you will remember him from his Okanagan-Similkameen Healthy Living Coalition, and I worked with him very closely in that regard. Now, through our IH research department, the head of the department had this vision over 7 years ago to create an entity that would work with the health authority but was not bound by the health authority. And what our mandate is to improve healthcare by accelerating healthcare innovation. We're independent, we're nimble, and our goal is to receive ideas from anywhere, be they small ideas from an individual local government to a university or a global leader in tech. We are thrilled to go from idea to impact, and we had a ton of community input to create the entity that now exists. Get this right. Oh, there it is. Yeah. No, that didn't advance, did it? No. Oh, boy, this should not be troublesome. Oop. Okay, so what we kind of act as a broker. So we take ideas in, as I said, from anybody. They can be small or vast. We receive those ideas and we can offer wraparound support. Jim Pattison had the naming rights due to a foundational grant he provided of $5 million. It will help us get started, and he does not, however, continually fund everything we do. We have a lot of access to funding partners, but we're not considered a funding source per se. We're a neutral trusted convener that can link to international partners, local entrepreneurs, funding sources, writing support letters, etc. So our whole goal is community-led innovation, and we empower local change makers to actually design solutions. Oh, good golly, what the heck happened? Yeah, so we're really in the first year looking at rapid prototyping of shovel-ready ideas, and I'll show you what we have in place in a moment. We have a ton of cross-sector collaboration. We're building capacity. We work in a variety of ways, and I might add, our CEO indicates that most people need 2 to 3 times of hearing about the JP Center to wrap their head around it, because it's a bit amorphous. So hopefully I'll be as clear as I can be. So those 3 slides are sort of an entry what we are. We are a place where accelerated ideas can move forward to advance healthcare improvement. And of course, the CEO of IH, well, not of course, but she's on our board. We have close partnerships with the health authority. So once an idea is tested, it will be able to be implemented. But we're not constrained by the policies and bureaucracy of a health authority. This is a busy slide, but it shows you our current activity. To date, we've received 65 ideas. I'll show you in a minute how to submit one. We have 22 actively under review and 11 active projects. They can range, these projects listed, from a tiny little Lytton submitted project with 2 people trying to get diagnostic training into their community to almost $1 million project on a type 2 diabetes initiative. So at this point, we have a wide range. As you can see, the submissions, we've categorized them just for understanding. We have avoidable hospital use system efficiency, workforce capacity, continuity of care. You can read it yourself. Aging in place initiatives, primary care access, looking at different community-based models for that. And then the same group is recategorized by our advisory group. We have 6 theme areas, and these areas are listed, and each of the theme areas has an advisory table. The table is comprised of experts, and they are coming with their system background and submitting ideas, as well as anybody in the community can do that. So a couple of the ideas that we have, we just, as I mentioned, the type 2 or D2 type, it's the switch, is a new partnership, almost $1 million initiative, testing an app that enables people to basically have their lifestyle modifications through using an app, and we'll be testing that and see if it's cost effective. Another one is Lilo Health in Kelowna, same idea. It's similar to a wearable technology for older adults aging in place, but it measures really interesting things like how many times the fridge door opens, and of course how much sleep they have, and so on. And innovators have come to us with these ideas, and then we're able to test them and look at a proof of concept and then implement accordingly. And we have a huge implementation process. So my role, that's sort of big picture who we are. I urge you to, I brought some handouts. I believe you have an electronic copy of our FAQ, but these are hard copy. I've left some for you, a little lip balm with my contact information and business cards in case you wish to have them. My role has been to engage local governments across the Interior Health region, and we're going to broaden to throughout the province. we know that local government leaders, you know your community, you know the healthcare needs, you have the lived experience. And if there's local innovators that can come together with you to drive new ideas, we would welcome that. So we want to make sure that all local governments have this equal opportunity to participate in this new initiative. Specifically, we have a website, and just getting down to brass tacks, if one of you has an idea or you'd like to look at the submit an idea, it's listed there on our website, and there's a very brief intake form, and each idea is eligible for up to 5 hours of in-kind guidance and support to help flesh out that healthcare improvement idea and move it forward. And we can, through that process, put you in touch with all of the partners if you need to have them. In our approach to ensure that we're effectively engaging the 56-ish local governments within the interior region, I have formed a small time-limited rural engagement advisory group to learn directly from local government members about what meaningful and useful engagement looks like. Because if we have this organization and it's not effective and it's not something that you could see yourself using, not maybe tomorrow, but we're not going anywhere, we would like that to be the case, given that there's a very significant focus on improving rural and remote healthcare. Across the spectrum, we can work on health promotion and well-being, universal wellness activities, right down to specific treatment, recovery, and support activities, depending on what they are in your region. So that group has a representation of a couple of CAOs and people from across the region. The most geographical rep on it, we have a strategic guide physician, Dr. Stu Johnston. Some of you may know he resides in Oliver, and he knows you're part of the region. So here's somewhere we have, if you care to stay engaged with us, we have a quarterly newsletter that gives updates on what we're doing. We have a virtual monthly coffee chat, and those are agenda-less forums where people can just zoom in or listen and converse, ask questions so that people understand who we are. Our CEO participates in that and members of our team. So please take advantage of that if it interests you. And that is my presentation. So I hope some of you may have questions, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you today.
Well, thank you, Betty, for coming, giving us the presentation. I was not aware when you reached out of the Jim Patterson, the foundation here, so it's interesting information as well. Any questions from the board? Oh. Director Roberts?
Yeah, thank you through the chair, and thank you for the presentation. And I will fill out the data and reach out and ask questions through what you've provided. But as well, I was kind of tweaked when you were part of the information, you had data integration. And I wondered if that had something to do with, I'm a paramedic, and then it's what we look at in regards to healthcare, med access, Meditech, med access, and then integration with paramedics tough books and the movement of information. You know, I'm still struggling holding bottles of medication and adding stuff, but I'm also scanning people's medical number and being able to adapt that information so that we can streamline, you know, what we deal with, what we see in the moment, and then pass that information on more effectively through the line. But there has been and lots of work with TELUS in the past and other agencies trying to streamline how data is integrated throughout the whole system. And I was wondering if when that was written down, is that one of those types of projects? Thank you.
I am not aware of a current project in the pipeline for that, although nobody knows all of them. They're parceled out, but that notion is a huge need. And actually, my son's a paramedic. He's also an emergency nurse, but he was way out in the Tules for a while. So we understand how critical that is. So if you want to call offline or submit an idea, whatever is easiest for you, that's exactly the kind of work that we're looking at. It's like from first patient intake, whether it's in their home or at Emerge or at, those processes are clearly where there's a huge area for innovation, AI, et cetera, to enable you to just do what you need to do, which is take care of the patient and not worry about all the extra administration and so on. So I'm sorry, I can't tell you if there's a specific project for that, but if there's not, there can be. And maybe it starts with you and a group. Does that answer what you're hoping to know? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Betty, I'm just trying to understand what kind of ideas you're looking for. Like one of the things we deal with the hospital district here is recruitment, retention. We're talking about in support of clinics and different things, healthcare workers, housing projects, different things like that. Are you involved in that section as well? But also ideas of how to deliver care
Yeah, so
and
something innovation can be described as trying something that exists but in a new setting or modifying something. I think the whole primary care models and how what is the most optimal model within a group of rurality. Those are things that I think our little advisory group that's just starting. It's an ad hoc group that will meet between now and just before the election. We'll come up with one idea together, and that includes the physician and a whole bunch of local governments. But I think what we're leaning towards is some look at what's optimal UPCC or whatnot. But any component of healthcare, whether it's recruitment, whether it is looking at new ways of integrating technology into rural practice, we're working BCNU. So if you have the best advice I can say, because I can't just reel off all that we're doing, because A, I don't know it all, but B, they're all in various stages of action, like through the pipeline. If you have a question about something that you're intrigued about, you can simply contact me, or you can just go right through into the submit an idea. There's no bottleneck. You don't have to go through me, but if somebody has an idea in your community or you do, just call me and we can kick it around a little bit more. And I would have access to the database from my desk and we can look at that. But absolutely anything you can think of, from primary care, for kids, adults, access to emergency response, ER issues. It's right through the full continuum of care.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any more hands here, but I think it's great information and understanding and learning about all the resources that are available and places we can go to ask for help. I think it is really good.
Well, it's thank you for your remarks. It's a very hopeful new initiative. I came back out of retirement. I had worked with research department, who's Dr. Deanne Taylor's now our CEO. She had many years with both Fraser and IH, and it was her dream. Took 7 years to create, and she's called many of her IH team over, and we're all so hopeful because it's really, I've heard people say it's the only hope about how we can really change healthcare. So we're all hoping that it will. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, our second delegation is the South Okanagan Similkameen Division of Family Practice. We've got Tracy St. Clair here, Executive Director. Give us a bit of an update on physician recruitment and retention initiatives that the Divisions of Family Practice is working. Oh, you need your mic on, Tracy. There you
That's
go.
the hardest part, right?
The floor is yours, Tracy.
Thanks for having us. Tanya Cosentine is our network manager. It's pretty much closer to the recruitment action these days than I am. So between us, we've got a very short presentation, which hopefully you have in your package, and really looking to answer any questions and start with just deep gratitude to RDOS for supporting RDOS Hospital District for supporting us with a grant to help out with rural recruitment in our rural communities for primary care. So with that, maybe if we can go to the next slide. I don't know if that's.
There is a, yeah.
Okay.
Just be careful. You can jump around a bit.
Okay. So yeah, we just thought we'd bring a couple stats provincially and get into more of the local picture. But we did see back in 2022, the payment model for family doctors changed to a different configuration. It's called the LFP, Longitudinal Family Practice Payment Model. And with that change that the provincial government did, we did see more and more doctors working in traditional clinics and attaching patients. So when you say, I have a doctor, really it is what I'm describing. So we did see more and more family doctors doing what we call episodic care, like they may work in a hospital or they may work in a walk-in clinic, but less and less really seeing the benefits of working in a clinic and having that long-term connection with patients. And there is a variety of reasons for that. So the good news is that there is an upswing provincially on more and more doctors wanting to work in a clinic. And we are seeing the stats on screen. I'm assuming that you can read that. But we still, across the province, we're seeing a lot of challenges with rural and remote communities. So for us, that's Penticton, Karamias, Oliver, and Osoyoos. Yeah, and just one more stat to throw at you, just the magnitude. I was just brought up my calculator. I was like percentages. So I think this is about 15% of family, 12% of family physicians are actually in rural and remote communities out of all the doctors in BC. I was just on an email chain with the other executive directors around the province, and one of the executive directors posed what percentage of your membership, so our membership is the local family doctors in the South Okanagan, what percentage work in a clinic in an office model? And ours is about 62%. It was down to 55%. Right now we're at 62%. We're seeing if you, for the urban communities like around Vancouver and in the Fraser Valley, they're actually spending 90% of their time in clinic. And the reason for that is we don't have anyone else to cover hospital. We don't have anyone else to cover long-term care. We don't have, our local doctors have to do all of those services. And so again, that's why you've got less physicians to work with, and the ones that are living in our rural communities are doing everything. They're doing inpatient, emergency, long-term care. So that's kind of the context.
So what influences recruitment and retention of providers? Definitely we want to recruit people to rural communities who have an early interest in rural practice. And oftentimes those are folks who have connections back to rural communities and that they grew up in rural communities. Also rural exposure. So one of our main areas where we're able to recruit from is our residency program. We graduate 6 residents a year in the South Okanagan Similkameen, and we have a 90% retention rate of those 6 residents staying every year in the region in some capacity. Community connections. So if they have a tie back to maybe a mentor that they worked with as a medical student, or if they had really supportive clinic teams that they worked with in their education, they're more likely to come back. And of course, family considerations. Do they see their spouses and children and whatnot thriving in the communities? So our role in recruitment, I think when a lot of people think of recruitment, they think of there's a vacancy of physicians retiring and we need to replace them with another physician. And it's a lot more nuanced than that, because I think, as Tracy mentioned, the vastness of services that family doctors can work in is as varied as how one physician to another works. So some of them maybe dabble in maternity, some of them maybe dabble in inpatient, or like, you know, a mix of any given number of services. And so that's our work, is to kind of connect those dots and put those pieces together. The division is well aware of where the gaps in the different communities are, what services are available. And we're also able to talk about, like, what does it look like for a physician in Penticton to, you know, drive 20 minutes and work in Oliver. And so we do have those conversations with new recruits and just set them up for success in a way that we're arranging their practice in a way that they want to work and see themselves here a long time. And I think that communities come in where your expertise is community. Like when we start talking about schools and housing and things like that, that's not our area of expertise. We're the clinical side, and we need to work with communities and municipalities to kind of shore people up from the community integration piece.
We've seen over and over, if a family isn't well supported, then the odds of keeping the doctor are very low. So really it's a full package, especially again, when you're in smaller communities, and that community, it's just so integral.
So the funding and action, so since these are outcomes since April, we're really excited about. So of course, what's really important to get people introduced to the community is not just the, you know, the beauty of the communities and what's available to them for recreation and all of that, but also who are the physicians working in the communities? What are the clinics like? We're taking people on tours and meet and greets with those clinical teams. And we were able to connect somebody with the health center at Upper Similkameen Indian Band. They haven't had a physician there for some time, and it's been a detriment to that community, where a lot of those community members are dealing with social detriments of health that make them not, you know, in a position to easily access care in Princeton or Karamias. And of course, from a cultural safety standpoint, being able to access care in their community is huge. So that was a real win. And we also have a physician in Karamias who has not had a true vacation in 6 years, and he is going to be able to have that in September because we were able to tour a provider who's coming to the area to do some locum coverage, and he's going to do locum coverage in all 4 communities. But that 6 year was like, oh wow. He talked about in the past going on vacation with his family, but having to do his tasks, to sign into his EMR and have to do lab results and things like that. So he's going to truly be able to take time off. We have a number of communities participating in provincial recruitment programs, what's called the International Medical Graduate Program and Practice Ready Assessment Program. So what that does is internationally trained physicians, once they come back to BC, go through what's called a return of service program. So they are matched with rural communities and they're contracted to work there for 2 or 3 years at a time. And in that 2 to 3 years, we really hope to roll out the red carpet and hope that they stay long term. So right now we have 5 people coming for the fall anticipated in Oliver, Osoyoos, and Karamias. And then Osoyoos, Princeton, and Karamias are participating right now in interviews to have more come for the following year. I see Tim on my screen. We're working with Tim and the Village of Karamias to do a bit of a welcome and appreciation initiative with local businesses and partners. So we've done a bit of a campaign with the village and local businesses to gather locally resourced gift baskets and experiences and services that we can provide both to new recruits and the residents, and also to really thank those physicians in Karamias who are holding down the fort. They went pretty rapidly from 5 physicians out there to 3. They're still at 3. It's pretty significant, but those docs are holding down the fort. So we're doing a bit of an appreciation initiative there. And we're just in the process of doing some video profiles of each of the rural communities with a local videographer to show off the communities and the clinical opportunities in those areas. Did you want to talk about the first one?
Thank you. A couple things hot off the press this morning. We just heard that Princeton did match with a return of service doctor who will be coming next year, 2027. We heard that this morning. And the other development that I know Tanya and her team have been working on, we work in close partnership with the Healthcare Society. Kelly Haas and I have come to your table different times. They run different services, including the community walk-in clinic, which was originally run by the division. And the community walk-in clinic is actually prepared now, starting in July, to go at least one day a week in person out to Karamias and to help with the ongoing care for walk-in and unattached patients out there, especially while they're in crisis. They're not in crisis. While they are really trying to get through the summer. We know that we've got a lot of extra people in the valley. They're down to 3 doctors, and we just need to shore it up and make sure that everyone's really healthy come fall, and we've got the 4th doctor, and there's no crisis anywhere. Yeah, hit me on the head for that one. The Trish and Phil Medical Bursary Fund. So this is a good news story for Community Foundation. They had a big donor come forward and put out a bursary for basically paid school for an undergrad plus medical school for local students, which we started partnering with them on last year to do as part of the selection committee. And this year we are leveraging that opportunity and starting mentorship programs. So students who are interested in medical school, whether they get the bursary or not, we've got a group of local doctors who are keen to keep in touch with them and mentor them throughout their undergrad and ideally through med school, because we want to make sure our local students have the best chance to be able to pursue a medical career if they're interested and have the best shot at actually getting accepted, which is a bit of a long shot these days. But the more local people, and especially for the rural communities, the more rural people who are used to and like living rural, if we can get them into med school, that's the best way to start getting them to work in our communities.
So looking ahead, continuing with what's already working with community tours and clinic introductions, that ongoing participation in the recruitment programs with the return to service component, supporting the physicians in those rural communities to be able to take time out of their clinic to do those interviews and matching processes. We have been planning in partnership with some of the Town of Oliver and Village of Karamias a tour for the UBC family medicine residents to tour Oliver, Osoyoos, and Karamias. They don't get as much exposure in those 3 communities as they do in Princeton. All of the residents do spend some time in Princeton as part of their rural rotation. So the 3 communities, Oliver, Osoyoos, and Karamias, we do this for them. We kind of take them out and show them the community and do some meals and introductions with them with some of the clinical teams. We also are working, as I said, on the video profiles for each of the communities. So something that we can use for our website, for conferences that really showcase why the South Okanagan Similkameen is a really great place to live and work. We are looking into how can we further shore up locums in the rural communities? Is it by supporting with travel and accommodation? Also looking at how can we, the division, be a bit of that concierge service? So maybe there's not a posting up for the date that you're looking for locum work. Like maybe you're a locum and you're like, well, I want to work this week, but I don't see any postings for that. There's always work. We can find something for them. So we're just trying to develop a bit of a concierge service, so to speak, to match locums in rural communities. And then, as Tracy mentioned, on the heels of the Trish and Bill Medical Bursary Program, just really making sure that this mentorship program has a little bit wider of a reach. So maybe working with some local high schools to have that pathway accessible for not just recipients of the bursary, but any students who are interested in pursuing medicine and coming back and to the community and becoming a doctor eventually.
It just occurred to me, I think one of the, maybe next time we speak, we can bring some more information on the UBC Family Medicine Residency Program, and or maybe one of our partners who works there. It's our residency program started in 2017, which is, you know, probably midway of, you know, all the residency programs after UBC Noggin started providing med school support. And I am told by all kinds of sources that we are the #1 program for students who want to do their residency here. I think we're the highest thought of, and it really is a lot owing to Princeton on that. When you do a roundtable of residents who come here, what brought you here? Princeton, Princeton, Princeton. We're just known really across Canada as an exemplary program. And I think why I bring that up is because we are now graduating 6 residents a year on average. We started with 4. There's a potential that we might get 1 or 2 more seats. And with a 90% retention rate and a turnover of, you know, we might lose 6 or 7 doctors a year, just by natural attrition, though it's getting less and less because our workforce is getting younger and younger. I can't say enough about what a big impact that is to our recruitment. And the more that we can do to support the residency program and support people who are already working and living in our communities and are about to become doctors, that really is the largest pool. So when you look at what the potential of rural recruitment, a lot of when we looked at the opportunity of having a little, having the support from the hospital district, it really was a large part of that strategy is how can we have our local newly graduated doctors and or residents start to experience the rural communities. And so we are, some of your funding is supporting travel to the communities to be able to make sure that that's not a barrier, and just honoring the extra time that it takes. Because we know that once they start working out there, like we hear over and over how much they enjoy it. So I think in the past, I know I've thought of it more of how can you get someone to, you know, live and work here, and I think we're just starting to shift. It's like let's have the experience and let's have an amazing experience, and then those other pieces around making the big move will fall. So will come in line. Anyways, we could go on forever, so we better ask questions.
Thanks, Tracy. That's really good information. I'm happy to hear about the resident tour contributing and continuing. I think it's been on for a couple of years. This will be the 3rd year. And I know it's been a really big success. And I know the residents have really enjoyed coming out and getting to meet just and see what's available for healthcare in those communities and support from physicians, meet the pharmacies, everything. It's really been great. I'm glad you commented on community support because I think that is so critical to attracting physicians, because you're not just attracting physicians, you're attracting families as well. And having the whole package available to them to see what's available in each community, it really helps as well. And I'm happy to see about some successes for Kirmias because they've really been taking it to the chin and things are moving in the right direction there. So very positive for sure. I'll open it up to the board if anybody has any questions. Director Barkwell, start with, and then yeah.
So I see Director Coyne beaming over there. What is Princeton doing so well that we shouldn't try to emulate or improve upon?
Depends what day you ask them. 2012, 2013, that was the red paint days. I don't know if you remember that. The emergency room in Princeton would be regularly closed, and we were down to literally 1 doctor. And back in 2012, 2013, I'm trying to think, anyways, someone very important in the ministry came and worked with us to come up with a strategy. We knew that we were going to get 3 new doctors coming, and two of them are still there, Dr. Monroe and Dr. Black. And there was a 4-pronged strategy of how to support them to come and to stay. And so it was a very deliberate strategy to, of the things that we did, one was to actually, through the division, we helped them have some of the best trained medical office assistants. So your receptionists up front. So they had the best support that they were walking into. They had peer-to-peer support from other communities because that's harder in a rural community. We did some work to get specialists visiting there every month, pretty well every week. We did education sessions at lunch. So that's an example of really strategic planning to make a community special. And then we got really special doctors who were super committed, and they saw value. The more collegial they were with each other and the stronger their group was, the more they could recruit. So we actually got to a high of 6 doctors working out there. And then that gave them the capacity to be able to host medical students. So even before they got into residency, and then to host a rotation, rural medicine rotation for residency. So it really was building that internal capacity within the community, which in large part comes from building a really nice culture, and a really nice culture comes from having enough people. So it's a bit chicken and egg. We know that all good things do change at times, and I got to say it's not probably quite as rosy as it was a while ago, but it's getting rosier. It was good news today hearing that they're getting a return of service doctor next year.
Okay, I'll go to Director Coyne and then Director Clements.
Yeah, we, like Tracy was saying, and this started when we were down to 1 doctor, no ER. The SOS was founded with through Ed and Ninka and myself. Started with some really nasty protests, forcing material to the table. But from there, once we got an agreement that to work together, then the ministry got involved. We through I think it was through the Community Forest Corporation, we rented townhouses to house doctors, so we could bring them in. The reason Princeton was on the last list of primary care networks is because we were pretty much already doing it. We took all the private clinicians and put them in one location at the hospital. So everybody was working under one roof, one office. The ER was right through the door, so they could do their ER work and their hospital work all within the same facility. We have a locum program, so every comes to town gets welcomed. We encourage the community to participate in the new doctors coming to town and supporting them through, going to hockey games and being part of everything. This is an ongoing work that doesn't stop. It is a full-time effort by the entire community, and has been since 2012. And, we've had some rough patches, and we've had some good days, and I think we're hopefully coming out of some rough patches. But really, the program with UBC, I have to give Dr. Monroe and Dr. Black. They're the 2 remaining. Dr. Monroe has been a champion of rural medicine, and she deserves a medal for what she's done. She's brought more doctors to Princeton than I think anybody. People come back because we had Dr. and
Ashley.
Dr. Ashley, he's over here somewhere now. He was a student doctor that came through and he was going to be a locum, and he ended up being a full-time practitioner in Princeton. That's the story. But it is ongoing, nonstop work we have a health table that we meet. I think we meet every 2 months, now it's to meet every month. And it's everybody in the community divisions, interior health, every department within interior health. Like we meet all the time to troubleshoot whatever problems we have to make sure that if something comes up, we can try to find a whole of community solution for that problem. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication from a lot of people, and it works for the most part. Some days we're running on a shoestring, but we're there. So it's better than what it was in 2012.
Director Roberts.
Yeah, thank you through the chair, and thank you, Tracy, and your teams. It's really good to see the movement that we've been able to have in Karamias. Hopefully, as stated, kind of riding on the bit of the coattails of Princeton. I'd like to give some kudos to the representative of the village that's worked on helping getting some baskets and things together. I think we've just recently made some connections around venue for the September event. And we're hoping, I'm looking at a strategy to kind of creating a little bit of a committee in regards to a local group for just brainstorming, or, and kind of learning from what Princeton had done and kind of moving forward. So I'm excited by the movement forward. We had a little community visit with Nicole and the team from SOS, and the businesses that we stopped by and visited were impressed and really open to provide support. So I think we're moving in the right direction, sometimes hampered by time and personnel, but I think it's going in the right way. And just again, thanking the team at SOS and all their support.
Director Federico.
Thank you, the chair. Have you heard any comments or how it might be going with the virtual doctor option out of Princeton? And like, is that a selling feature, a hindrance? Like, what are you guys kind of hearing about it?
It's a new program that Interior Health had introduced, I understand, like maybe last September, and looking to shore up some of the smaller emergency departments for the smaller emergency departments in the interior. And I should name them all, but Princeton, Ashcroft, Lillooet, and Clearwater. The cusp. So probably not Ashcroft. Anyways, don't quote me on any of those. Anyways, for the smaller ones. And the idea was that they could cover, the emergency departments could cover for each other at nighttime. So if a patient came in, they would always have a nurse, and the nurse could have somebody to call and get a consult, get a opinion about what to do with the doctor, but also have a doctor available on site. So that is just rolling out. I think it's got some pluses and some minuses, and I think that they're analyzing that right now. We did see that it did complicate things in some ways in Princeton, but it is hard to keep an emergency department open these days, and we've seen that across the province. So I guess you got to try something. But you should ask Interior Health that, and I should have just said you should ask Interior that.
Director Coyne.
Yeah, so the mayors of the communities met a while ago. We had a discussion about it. There's been a few hiccups in the region. Tracy said there was some hiccups in the beginning with Princeton. Those problems seem to have stabilized. We had some pushback from Allied Health, and those have also seemed to have subsided now too. So not as scary as it originally was, and it seems to be working. I've only had one complaint from the public, and that was somebody with a stomach ache, and they were upset that they was told it wasn't what it was. They went back later, but I mean, this happened to all of us when it's just, I have a stomachache. You know, so I understand it, but overall, the response has been fairly positive. Doctors that are participating haven't brought any new concerns forward, and the nurses have kind of been, it seems to have stabilized.
Alrighty, I'm not seeing any more hands, so thank you, Tracy and Tanya, for coming and giving us the update, and look forward to future updates. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
We'll get somewhere.
With that, I'll just look for a motion to adjourn. Move. Second. All in favor? Hospital District is adjourned.
Okay, I think lunch is ready, so we'll do that, and then we'll go into committee of the whole. Right after that, I believe, would probably be the best, because we've got another delegation, so we'll deal with that and then finish off the regular board meeting right after that. So.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's start the committee of the whole, if we could, please.
You need a gavel. Where is that gavel?
We're all responsible adults. Call the meeting to order at 12:31, and a motion to approve the agenda, please. Thank you. Seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Director Taylor. Did you want to? We can wait. And a motion to approve the minutes of the June 4th committee of the whole meeting, please. Seconded. Favor. And we have a delegation today, and I will refer to our CAO to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. We have with us today Mike Goodman, Senior Development Manager, and Kate Shendel, Environmental Manager with Energex, and they are here to provide an introduction to the Henley Wind Project, and they mentioned they love getting lots of questions, so keep that in mind. Please come.
Hi, thank you very much for the invite. Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Board. Thanks again for inviting our delegation. I'm Michael Goodman, Senior Development Manager with Interjex. There's a change. I'm with Ingrid and Kate, and I'll ask you to introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ingrid. I'm here with the Environment and Community team, just in person in place of Kate, here to just support and take notes for all the good questions to come.
And we have Kate online.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for the opportunity. I'm the Environment Manager with Interjex.
Great, thanks very much. And I guess the clicker will help me move the slides. So this is really our first meeting that we're bringing. We're very early development on our project. Yeah, sorry, if I went back one, but yeah, it's really, speaking to the projects, speaking about Interjex. We intend, as the project continues to develop, we'll be here, we'll be back. We want to interact with local governments, First Nations, stakeholders, constituents. So we're trying to be open and transparent, and yeah, questions welcomed. And if we can't answer them, or there's more questions, we're happy to go offline and have conversations and look for your direction on that. So I'll introduce Interjex, then speak about the project itself. Interjex has been operating since the 90s. We're a pretty experienced renewable energy developer. We have 91 projects or 90 projects now. We just changed one in the world, but we do have 11 operating projects in BC and 4 in development. We have a big office in Vancouver. I'm from Vancouver, but our head office is in Montreal. Yeah, we do multiple technologies, and it's really important for us to be in communities, working with local nations, working with local governments, and I think we have a long track record of doing so. I think also a distinction with us is we're in it for the long run, as in I'm a developer, but we have a construction team, we have a strong operation team. We hold the assets for certainly in the development phase, through the operation phase, and a lot of times that's a 40-year plus relationship. Here's a little map of BC. That's the 11 projects and then 4 in development. So out of the 2024 BC hydropower, we were awarded 3 projects. In the 2025 call for power, we were awarded 1 project. And I think closest to us is K2. That's on the 97C. It's really mostly into the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. There is a little overlap, I guess, into the RDOS. But I'm going to speak about Headley Creek Wind. So it really starts with kind of an investigative area. Another company has held the investigative use license in the area since 2013. We took over it, kind of an investigation started in 2024 and kind of on the groundwork starting in 2025 as far as resource monitoring, just to see really what the wind is and understand the access and other pieces. So yes, in red, there's the 50 square kilometers of potential project area for turbines. And it's, 25 kilometers from here, but 30 kilometers up. So it's really kind of, draw a dot in the middle. Issentalk Lake is right in the Issentalk Lake straddles the project. As I mentioned, yeah, mostly in electoral G. Yeah, communities and stakeholders, kind of I've listed some of the stakeholders that we're prepared to speak to, are speaking to, and are engaged to speak to. And of course, welcome any questions and more engagement should that come through the RDOS or directly. Headley Creek project itself, if you look at the size of each turbine, we're looking at about 14 to 17 turbines. If you look at people, maybe or maybe familiar with Stanish or Penticton wind farm, those aren't owned by us. That's kind of on the 97, the highway on either side, but they have 5 turbines on each site. So we're looking at 17. If you look at the height, ours will be about a third taller, and the rotor diameter will be about a third bigger. So they're a little bigger, but on the same sort of idea, 3-bladed turbine or 3-bladed. Oh gosh, spinny thing, I guess you are. Windmill. But it sits on top of a tower. And so if you look at the total height, if the blade, one of the 3 blades is at the very peak, that's about 210 meters tall. We're thinking about viewscapes as well. And, it's quite steep out of the valleys from all 4 directions onto where this investigative area is. And the mountains are sitting around, at tops 2,200 meters. We're looking at a height at the base of about 1,700 meters, 16 to 1,750, and then the towers and blades will go higher than that, of course. So visually, I don't think you'll be able to see them certainly not from Summerland, not from Penticton, not from Headley or Karamias or Princeton. Naramata Bench, well, I think we did have a question, and we're going to investigate that. We'll maybe put a drone up and see what we can see from there. But generally, it's away from the visual scape, highways and communities. The size of them, we're looking at a 100 megawatt project, and give you an idea, that's about 20,000 homes. So here's a project schedule. As I said, we're really in the early phase, right on the left side, and I'll kind of explain some of the pieces there. So we're essentially in an early development stage. We're looking at resources and starting stakeholder engagement. The major step is really when you apply to the utility for a project. So there's an RFP process, and that ForestBC is running, and we'll be looking to participate in that RFP. Projects, it's a competitive process, so we hope to put a project in as we continue development, as we listen to stakeholders and other proponents as well. There will be some awards. I have here August. I just want to make a note for everyone. The August 2026, we were notified yesterday actually that's changed now to December 2026. So hot off the press, but there's a change there, just for awareness. And then if it is successfully awarded, and which you would be told in December of 2026. I'm sorry, the submission for the RSP would be October of this year. So once after December, you're awarded, and then a thorough design would occur. So that's engineering, that's understanding geotechnical, and that's where the turbine layout would be. And that would feed studies, environmental, archaeological, cultural, impacts. And the later stage of that green phase, that would be then permitting, and that takes about a year. Construction takes it takes 2 seasons, so spring to fall seasons, so about 18 months in total. And then it would operate in 30 years. As I said, Interjects from Energy Inc., and we've now developed a number of projects. We're pretty comfortable with that phase. Certainly construction and operating, we've been fairly successful. So understanding and kind of knowledge and experience would show that's kind of a reasonable schedule for us for this project, and a project of this size, and the terrain that it's located in. Certainly, we feel there's lots of project benefits for communities, for peoples, for all involved. Looking most of the impact and is really through that construction. There's a lot of works that go in. Once we do construct in that over that 18-month period, there ends up about 10 full-time positions. So that's people who are maintain turbines, people, on-site office, ensuring everything is running smoothly. There's property tax, of course, that will come from this project that will be for both the province and also the regional district. So what I've kind of shown here, and this is where really to have participation with local communities, and I've listed a bunch of pieces. It's really not focused on one industry. It's a really plethora of different types of services and companies and type of work. And, really comprehended. We hope to find local companies and train local people. We're a BC company, we're a Canadian company, so that's our strength, and we would leverage that as we look to grow and build and operate the project. So that completes the presentation, and happy to take questions. And also, I just want to emphasize again that this is our first engagement, and we look forward to, speaking to the board, and speaking to members as we progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Coyne. Hi, guys. So last night you were talking about you've already kind of changed some of your scope if this goes through on where you're going to put the transmission lines and whatnot, because you've already been in consultation with that person. Can you just talk about that consultation and what you've kind of worked with so far?
That's your question. I'll pour myself a glass of water. I'm a little dry here, but yeah, it's the Fortis BC RFP requirements is that you have a 25% First Nation equity partner. So we are actively looking for partnerships. It's in Penticton and USIB's territory, and so we've engaged with nations, including an early engagement. It's bringing community members to site. And I think what we're referring to is the USIB had an event that we participated in last night, along with other developers, and spoke to community members, which was great. I think there's some great questions. So what we're receiving as feedback is where infrastructure is going, and for USIB there was a lot of focus on what I've heard, and I'm sure I'll hear more and look forward to that conversation. But what I've heard is a lot of pieces about where we have routed the transmission line. So from the project area, the point interconnection with Fortis BC system would be in the valley along Highway 3. So there was some areas where they wanted us to maybe reroute, and things like old growth forest or areas of cultural significance. So we listened to feedback, we adjusted, and I think worked with that, and that process is ongoing as we learn more about the project and speak to more communities and nations. So thank you.
Director Roberts, you had a question?
Yes, thank you through the chair. Thank you for the presentation. I wish I would have had the time to speak to you earlier. Looking forward to ongoing discussion. And as stated by Director Coyne, different things that I'm interested in, for instance, is, the effect on the environment, the support in regards to the surrounding communities, the transmission line. We do have, for instance, like from Mascot Mine and the area over there, and a line already coming down the old tram line towards Headley and Highway 3. So wanting to know, those kinds of, effects on the community in regards to the infrastructure. Questions around, and again, I know that, you know, as stated and in their map, you show the other project is not too far away. And the expansion of what you've got, you know, what are the effects on wildlife, deer, et cetera, moose up in some of the high country with all of a sudden so much of the, or so many of these in a concentrated area, and then and maybe in regards to some of the routes of migration. So, you know, concerns that I'd be wanting to look into about that. And then the other thing is, you know, we're known to have our wind change at quite drastic directions at, you know, in short periods of time. So, you know, I'm always wondering, you know, why is there more emphasis on the large prop windmills versus the more of the corkscrew things that can handle wind change? Because I do know that changing direction is usually problematic for some of that. So I've got, you know, questions that I definitely will be talking about offline. Concerns in regards to long-term benefits, in regards to, you know, the good, bad, and the ugly, and the communities that surround, whether or not it's Headley and the Upper Similkameen Indian Band, and other people, even Area I, in regards to, you've got Apex right up there as well. So a lot of things that I want to, you know, have more definitive answers in a dialogue and conversation offline. But again, interested in what you're doing, supportive of renewable power and what it also can provide for our communities in regards to power. I've been a proponent in regards to even using the old mine sites in regards to solar. So you know, I am supportive of these types of things, just want to have a greater understanding of the impact and what it may look like in the end. So thank you.
Thank you. It looked like there were some feverish notes being taken there, so I'm sure there's going to be some follow-up. I have a question from Director Monteith and Bush then.
Thank you, Director Roberts mentioned Apex, so that's in electoral area I. So I'd like to connect you to the local community association there because they would be very interested in this project. And then my other question is, how close is it to the recreation site that's up there? And what would that look like?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Yeah, and actually, you know, really great questions and happy to have further dialogue. You know, Director Roberts, you had a number of pieces. I think we previously wrote down a bunch of these, but that will set some framing when we have a conversation. I think we have good answers, a lot of those, but also listening and hearing feedback. So there's adjustments or engagement that we're missing. Happy to do that. The question was directly related to the recreation site. And so I'll kind of frame it first and then kind of speak to where we are. So, you know, if we think about a wind resource, it's going to be windier near the tops of mountains compared to the valleys. So the Issentalk Lake and the recreation area surrounding it, that's low compared to the mountains around. I could be wrong on elevation, but around 14 or 1500 meters, we're looking at about 100 meters for where turbines would go. So we don't expect to impact the recreation site meaningfully. Like the turbines will be far enough away that you won't hear them. You may see them, but you won't hear them. They won't. It certainly infrastructure won't be there, and there is also setback requirements for different things. There's setback requirements for old growth forests or OGMAs. There's setback requirements for rivers and wetlands and lakes. And so even on a regulatory basis, it's an ideal spot for us to put infrastructure, and the regulatory environment prevents it. So of course, that means that the recreation area, I think it can still be there. There's not a conflict, and open to hear opinions on that or comments on that. And if there's further mitigation, we can speak to that too. Thank you.
Follow up to that. Okay, well, let's move on to Director Bush. Give everybody their turn. I do see you.
Yeah, so is there going to be a cost for our taxpayers at all Like, are you gonna be asking for financial support? And are you just looking for a letter of support or feedback or what?
Thank you. We're looking for a consultation. Hear comments, we have a perspective, or we're looking to go follow a project timeline. So looking for what opportunities and what conflicts, and having that dialogue and an early development phase, making adjustments or sharing information. Cost of taxpayers. The power is Fortis BC. We give a 30-year energy purchase agreement. So every widget of energy we deliver to Fortis BC for an awarded party, awarded, would get a dollar bill. And so over 30 years, that would pay for all the development and operating costs of the project. So it's all borne by the project itself to pay for the pieces. I mean, there's financing, there's banks involved, and there's First Nation pieces as well. So it's complicated, but there's that is outside of cost to taxpayers, where we would build and take the risk of that project. So thank you. Director McCordoff, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm looking at your map here, and I see that it's several kilometers from the different communities, and I'm just wondering, are you planning to put roads in there in various spots, so that you said you're going to probably hire some people? So I assume they're driving in, or are they being dropped in by helicopter? And is that part of your package to put transportation routes in there?
Good question. Thank you. There's existing forestry roads through the area. So Zintok Lake is served, of course, by a Forest Service road. There's Stemwinder Road that comes up from near Headley, from north-south. So just north of Princeton, there's Red Creek Road and connector. So there's major Forest Service roads that's kind of get you to the site. There may be some improvements. You imagine having to bring 80-meter blades through. You might have to widen a corner. That's a consideration when we look at the design. Also, there's existing logging kind of in the actual project area. We're looking to put turbines on areas that have already been cleared or forest fire, and if they've already been logged. And generally, there's old logging roads that we would recommission. So there is some roadworks that would occur. I mean, it's expensive. So obviously, from a project point of view, you want to use what's there. That's going to be the best use of capital, and also has a less environmental impact from a permitting point of view. Also has a less impact, environmentally and culturally. You're not going to go on if you're going on an existing road, it's already disturbed. So there's a number of reasons why you do develop a project. I mean, we're talking about 17 turbines, up to 17 turbines. You can find at least 17 cut blocks within that 50 kilometers, and there's much more, of course. So we hope not to have. We're going to limit the amount of new roads and civil works that we need for this project.
Dr. Barco. Yeah, I guess my questions have mostly been answered already. I'm very familiar with the area. Been going up there since I was a kid. I guess what concerned me was the red study area comes awfully close to Eisentalk, where, as you said, though, that Eisentalk's down in the valley and the mountains rise very steeply around it. And if it's anything like Shinner's Creek, of course, it'll be at the top. My other big concern, we don't want anything near the recreation site by any means. And it doesn't look like, even though the study area comes close, it doesn't look like it would from a practical point of view. So I'm a little bit disturbed there. I know you're going to have to make those roads about 5 times wider in some places, if like the road to Shinner's Creek. And you've got corners that you take those propellers up in one long piece. Around the corners very So that's related to my other big concern, which you've also partially addressed in saying that we really can't afford. If you look at the Google Earth image, it's more logged than it is left. It almost looks like more than 50%. And our big concern in our watershed is the rate of the runoff, and that's all related to the logged area and how fast that melts, and it changes everything for our water storage and stuff. So when you say you'd rather put it on logged areas, that's good too. I mean, they can really make an effort not to disturb any more ground up there. We just can't afford that. So I guess I just want to emphasize that Summerland's the closest community, probably would have the most people going up there. And I noticed there's a BC Hydro line a little bit to your east, but because this is a Fortis project, you wouldn't connect to that one, even though it looks pretty close. Is that the reason?
Yeah, no, thank you for the comments. And I hope we've answered the question on Issatalk Lake. There's been another question on that, and yeah, I think that's clear. And water use is a concern of everyone. So yeah, if we don't use water, there is concrete for the turbine bases. Other than that, there's no water use, and there's no disturbance there. Yeah, the question. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I think about 3 questions at once, but I apologize. But yeah, the BC Hydro line, excuse me. So the requirements for this RFP run by Fortis BC is it directly interconnects to their system. It's not, if it were to connect to a BC Hydro substation or infrastructure, that would be ineligible for this RFP.
Director Monteith.
Thank you. Once hypothetically this project would get to like an actual building phase, what is the time? Like the timeline showed about 4 years. It's not going to take 4 years to do that. So what is the direct time that there would actually be an impact on forestry roads that the users of that area would notice?
No, thanks for your question. And certainly there's coordination with the nation and also the forestry companies, Gorman's who's operating the area, and use of roads for their activities as well. The building phase, the most impact is certainly during the building phase, which takes 2 seasons, 2 spring to snow melt, June to October or November, and then 2 years of that would be the major activities. So to start, the first piece is if there's any corners need, for the blades to be able to access, that would be the first work, or bridges. We need about 4.5 meters width on the roads. Stemwinder and other roads or Red Creek are much wider than that. So there's some road work on corners, but limited. But anyways, so that would occur first, and then you would prepare the foundations for the turbines. So there's a foundation to then the next season would be the erection of the towers, and each blade comes separately, and they would be craned, or crane would elevate them to actually put on the top and connect the materials. So yeah, there's a lot for 18 months, like admittedly, right, for the 2 summer seasons. And then their expectation is that there's 10 people that would come in and out the site.
Thank you, Director Coyne, and I do see your hand. Director Roberts will be next.
Yeah, so there's another project that's being proposed at Finnegan, and just wondering if, we don't know how many Fortis is going to give out, but the one at Finnegan would be using Red Creek as well. So there'd be some synergy on fixing the road or whatever, because the first couple are probably the worst part of the whole road for you guys, and then so would you guys collaborate on that, since we're talking roads?
Yeah, so with the Fortis BC RFP rules, there's no it's kind of in each operator's kind of doing independent work. It's we would, when we build our project, we would, at this phase of the project, we would, as if it's exists what's there, and then ours is incremental. I would imagine the developer would do the same. Now, once it's awarded, I mean, everybody wants to have less impact and less costs. There's all sorts of partnerships or coordination that could and wouldn't and is welcome to occur, or not, depending on the relationship. I think we work quite well with other developers. So if there's other wind developers or other users, we've been in the province since the 90s. Other projects we have worked together, you know, so sometimes even something like the turbine manufacturer is going to be the same between two projects, whether it's a BC Hydro project or a BC project. We have other projects in development, so there could be some coordination in that aspect as well. So yeah, I really hope that we can collaborate, and we're willing to collaborate. But at this point, right now, it's being developed independently.
Thank you. Director Roberts to wrap things up.
Yeah, thank you to the chair. To follow up on Director Barkwell's concerns re water, it's not about your water use. Our concerns is you're going up into logged areas and areas that, you know, we want to see replanting. We want to see the ability to hold snowpack. And so my question would be, how much of effect are we going to have on snowpack? As an orchardist, you know, a lot of the orchards and vineyards around here run frost fans. So does a turbine in and of itself decrease or increase the warmth in area and affect frost and snow melt, or having that many, as you're stocking 14 to 17, are it, you know, what are the effects in regards to snowpack by just their movement, by the amount of area cleared around them, et cetera? That would be a real concern about the impact on our watershed, since we're very susceptible to the ongoing drought. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. And you're right, I didn't answer that part of the question, and thanks for that clarification. It's a good comment. I'll pass it to Kate. I think she has her hand up. Kate from her office, who's online. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, thanks, Mike, and thanks for the great questions. Wanted to address a few of the environmental comments, and I will circle back to water as a key piece that we consider. The BC Energy Regulator has recently been named as the regulator responsible for permitting renewable energy projects. So we're working closely with them. It's an incredibly similar process to the old BCEA process. The scope of work and the number of studies we do prior to advancing the project is basically the same as the old EA, but the benefit of going through the BCER is that it's a one-stop shop and you're not going to 6 different ministries. So it accelerates the review process and timelines, but it doesn't decrease the amount of work and study we do. So I want to, you know, make sure everyone's aware that there will be a full and rigorous environmental assessment done on the project site. We've already done quite a deep dive in terms of what's available on desktop. And Interjects really, we really take an approach of basically smart design in terms of all things environmental. So as Mike's already mentioned, we try our best to lay out our projects on areas that have already been forested. We do our best to beneficially reuse pre-existing roads so that we're not adding any additional habitat fragmentation. And we're hearing this messaging from the Indigenous nations that we've been engaging with as well, that that's a priority for them to maintain old growth forest. We are also hearing the same messaging on the waterfront. The water constraints are a huge concern to everyone in the area, and we recognize that there will be a fulsome restoration and remediation plan. So any areas that, you know, are expanded, for example, to get the turbines around corners, etc., will be fully remediated and revegetated. We understand that there's a desire to do that with native plantings. So all of those features will be taken into account and planned for as the project progresses. we will not be leaving lands bare or unrehabilitated. And just going back to the beginning of the conversation, the wildlife piece, we've built quite a few projects. I've done a bunch of research into the literature. There is a short-term impact when all of the trucks and construction vehicles are present. What we've seen at our projects in Idaho and Wyoming, and what I've read in the literature, is that the wildlife do tend to return. Animals adapt quite quickly and easily to the presence of turbines. They don't seem to be terribly fussed by them. So assuming that there's adequate habitat in the area, we fully anticipate the return of, the ungulate species for hunting and other purposes. The site will be open for hunting and other traditional uses. We won't be fencing it off except for the high voltage substation in those areas. So yeah, I think that's hopefully I've addressed. I'm trying to keep track of all the questions, and hopefully I've addressed some of those.
Thank you. Director Barkwell, we do have to be a little bit cognizant of time.
Does the Shinish Creek, other than being a little smaller than this project, the windmills themselves, is it comparable to the footprint you will have? Because when I go up there, it strikes me that they've cleared a huge area for the base of a relatively small base. And maybe it's like you have to have a setback for fire concerns or something. But, when we talk about the disturbance in 1417 windmills, and you compare it to, something that's going to be 3 times the size and disturbance of Shinish Creek, that's pretty large. Does it have to be that big? Can you do it smaller for your disturbed area around the windmills?
And thank you for the question. We're not the developer on that project, so it's hard for me to base what the impacts will be just on a number turbine level. Yeah, they have 5, we'll have 14 or to 17 turbines. I think as we've talked about, we're looking, I think, reiterate what we said, and maybe we could look at actual impacts per square kilometer if that's reasonable. But there almost all the placements, or the placements that we're looking at, are on cleared and already forested land. As Kate said, there'll be some replanting and if there is disturbances. So yeah, we're a renewable energy company. We have green goals. We're aware of the impacts. I think we've heard that from our Indigenous partners. We're hearing that from local governments and constituents. So I think we're definitely going to lower had the least impact and will still be on the direct turbines. You compare that to, say, a different technology like solar or other, where there's a lot of land impact as far as number of panels you have to lay, and each turbine itself, once it's constructed, takes up less than an acre itself. So we're talking about 50 square kilometers and 17 turbines that are taking up less than an acre. That's a fraction of that area that already has major logging roads, recreational area, and other pieces. I'm going through it. So yeah, happy to kind of put some numbers to it. If that's helpful. We hope that minimize the impacts. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bloomfield.
Thank you. And I just want to register my support for projects of this nature, subject to site suitability, of course, but I think that the scale of the development makes a lot of sense when you look at the applications that are coming in for consumption, such as the one at Christina Lake, which is now public, where the data center there, the proposed data center at Christina Lake is a 65 megawatt project. So I think it would absorb apparently 65% of this project. So I think that we need to think about our resilience to the future demands of power consumption and keeping it in Canadian hands, along with the data center, which is a fully Canadian company that's proposing the data center. So, yeah, if we're looking forward to, future and the increased power consumption, we need to look at the power production methods like this.
Thank you, Director Coyne.
Yeah, a lot of my concerns were put to bed last night when I went to the open house and at Chichua, and they've worked with USIB to address some of those habitat issues and whatnot. So moving forward, I guess my question is to the chair of staff: is there anything to do today, or is this just information?
So my understanding is this is an information piece, kickstarting your process.
I appreciate the comments, and this is informational. Yeah, happy to work and happy to hear positivity. Thank you.
So thank you for that. Thank you for the three of you for taking the time to be with us today and give us this presentation. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and happy to have continued dialogue. Thank you.
And so we are now looking for a motion to adjourn. Seconded, all in favor?
Thank you. I think we'll go back into the regular board meeting. So I'll ask the CAO to ask folks that shouldn't be here to leave, and we'll get Lewis to put us back in camera. Getting the thumbs up here. So we've got no items coming out of close that I'm aware of. So we're looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? We are adjourned. We do have the Electoral Area Services Committee up next. So I'll give a couple minutes for folks to pack up and we'll start that shortly. Okay, I think we've got enough for a quorum here. We'll get started. Call the meeting to order for the Electoral Area Services Committee. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? That motion carries. And then we have the minutes from the June 4th Electoral Area Committee meeting. Moved, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? That carries. Brings us to the main one in here, which is the community grant and aid request. And I'll go to the CAO.
Thank you, Chair. Our finance team is here to present on community grant and aid.
So over to Noel or Wayne, whichever one's leading this.
We just got a community grant need request for the Penticton Scottish Festival. It came to all the electoral areas. So we're just soliciting what kind of support everybody would like to commit to.
Start with Director Federico.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in for 500.
Director Bush?
I mean, I'm not against the program or anything, I just,
You're out of money. Okay. Anybody else have some thoughts or comments they want to share? Director Coyne, Senior.
I'll do the 500 as well.
Okay. I was probably going to do that as well, a 500 from Area A, but Director Gettens?
Sorry, I don't see the application in my email. How much are they asking for in total?
I believe it was 4,000. And last year we gave them 1,000, in 2023 1,300, in 2021 2,000, and in 2019 1,500.
So technically or tentatively right now they'd have 1,500 if the ones that committed verbally here do, but and maybe more when folks, you don't have to make that decision right now. It could be go home, think about it, and send Wayne or Noel an email. But Director Roberts.
Through the chair, as you can see behind you, I'm conflicted in both things. Being Scottish on two things, it's I'm also, the word's not cheap, but it is a conflict, and I have kind of historically kind of kept things closer to home. I do like this venue, I do go to it, but then I've got to kind of transfer that over to how I treat other events. So, you know, I'll do a little bit more thinking on it, but just so you know, I'm a penny pinching, conflicted Scotsman.
Got it. Any further comments? Director Coyne.
Yeah, this is a big deal for a lot of the Highland dance clubs throughout the whole entire valley. It's kind of a, for kids that don't go on to more competitive bigger competitions, this is the biggest one that those kids will go to, is the one in Penticton, and it's been running for years and years and years, been a great success, and yeah, it's a really good event, and I just shake out the wallet, Tim.
They don't have any haggis. They bring the haggis, then maybe I'll come.
All right. Seeing no, we don't need a motion on this or anything. It's for discussion purposes. So we'll go to the next item, which is director's motions. Does anybody have a director's motion they want to make on this section? Seeing nothing there. Rural matters. Any items people wanted to discuss at this time? Director Fedrigo.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Mr. Hatch for organizing our meetings with the province under the Ministry of Transport. Yeah, under Modi, Mott, whatever they are now. It was good conversation, and then it was also like beneficial because then it was regional things that we're all. It seems like we all have similar issues, so it was nice to just kind of sit with them and talk through some of that. So I know he'll write up kind of what we did chat about, but it's just appreciated to be able to sit down with them at their office and just kind of hash some of that stuff out with them. So
definitely, it's always worthwhile to have the discussions with them. Didn't give us a whole lot, but at least you had the opportunity to talk about it. Anything further? Rural matters, Ms. Batten.
Thank you. I just wanted, Mr. Chair, to remind the EA group that our deadline for asking for minister meetings at UBCM is on Wednesday by 6 p.m. I've got a bit of a list going already for some of the directors that have responded. However, if there's anybody else who wants to let me know, please just send me an email and we'll get that actioned.
Good reminder. Go to Director Gettens.
Thanks, Chair. Is there a list of those requests that I'm just thinking about organizing, kind of aligning and stuff?
Mr. Chair, I'll send out what I've got so far to directors. Okay.
Okay. Director Taylor. Yeah, I just want to follow up on something I raised at another meeting just about reporting on major projects. And just like to reinforce that we're going to see something coming back on that, not looking at anybody on. Just in my limited experience on the acquisition of services, it just seems that there's people following. When you take on a new service, people are following it and they're all engaged and they want to know what's happening. And we kind of give them something the day it converts, but then it's crickets after that. Crickets afterwards. And they're looking for updates, and sometimes they've got good information. You know, like, I mean, something hasn't happened and we actually do need to know about it. So I would really like to see that policy come forward. Good thing. CAO or staff members want to answer?
I'll let Wayne comment and then I will add to that.
Okay.
So Jim has requested that the capital projects be brought forward to the board as a update. So the first report's coming through for July, which is based on the May results. It will be very, very high level. So you might not get the detail you're looking for the new services. For instance, Lakeshore Waterworks, the projected projects are on budget and are on time. You won't get the specifics of this amount of pipe is being changed. So it's going to come in 3 sections. One, any service capital project that was over the $5,000 threshold will be reported on separately. Then there will be a section of completed projects to date. And then there will be a section of progress for any project that's budgeted for $100,000 and over. We'll touch on every single one at an extremely high level to let you know if it's on budget and where we are at with the project.
Okay. Want to add something, CAO?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I'd just add that a couple comments. So with the new acquisitions in particular, one of the challenges for us, and we can work again with Eric and the comms team on putting some updates out. But one of the challenges for us, and we tried to caution this when we took over the systems, is that initially there's a lot of planning work that has to happen. And that's like year plus worth of work. So, but we could certainly put something out reminding the public that we're working on that. We have RFPs that are closing. We have contracts that we're awarding. But before any physical works actually happen, will take some time. And then I would just add that in addition to what Jim has requested and the great work that Wayne is doing, when we do have these large capital projects underway, we would come back to the board with more tangible updates on the specifics of what's happening with those projects.
Follow up to that, Director Taylor. So that all sounds great, along the lines of what I was hoping for, and thanks both for that report. I've got my second question. I'm hoping that we're going to have some further discussion on the whole idea of, using the term loosely, Director Fedrigo, tiny homes and or RV living. And from my perspective, that's a mammoth project. I think there are ways of scoping down. I think Director Roberts and I have spoken in the past, and I mean, a way of nibbling off one corner of it would be just like, under what terms could we accept one such unit on a property? And I'm personally hoping staff bring something forward back to this committee so that we can have some discussion of that before you get off. Not suggesting you're going to go off in the wrong direction, but we might be in the wrong direction. So, CEO?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So Mr. Petrie has been doing fair bit of research on the topic, and him and I have discussed at a high level, and certainly the intent would be to come back to this committee and have further dialogue around scoping it, because yeah, absolutely, it could be quite contained, or it could be very large. So, and we want to ensure, obviously, that we can have the discussion here, and that all of the directors are on the same page before we get too far along and do too much work to find out that we're not on the right track. So I haven't touched base with Mark here recently, but I do seem to recall that we had I want to say like a mid-August target or something like that to be back to the board to have further conversation and scoping on that. So
Okay. Director Taylor.
Last one.
Go for it.
I just want to talk about the short-term rental thing. And I guess I'm just feeling, as I look at other areas, I struggle to understand how other areas are approving a variance. Like, what's the rationale? So I see, to me, it seems like there's quite a few variations on, for those that didn't opt in and are actually, no, it's not the opt-in issue. It's the staying on the temporary use permit thing. Yeah, I don't know. As another rural director, I struggle to understand, okay, this guy's asking for a variance on this one, and I'm struggling to understand why, so I'm just saying, I'm struggling to keep up with you when you are going in a different direction than staff. I don't understand.
I'm not specifically sure which one you're referring to, that they're asking for variances.
Staff is suggesting to deny something that doesn't meet your policy.
Okay.
And then you ask to approve it, and we're supposed to just go along with it.
Yeah, I understand that. Director Federico?
Thank you, the chair. I kind of had a comment if that was reversed, but now because if it's a denial versus an approval, I don't know, like for me, the whole short-term rental permit process was really just to give neighbors a chance to comment. So in this case, like kind of my kind of baseline I look at is kind of between like 3 to 5 comments that come in, like anything that that there's just a general feeling in that community that, or that area, that they don't want it. If it's one that comes in, kind of weigh that. If it's 2, you kind of weigh that. If it's a general comment from somebody who doesn't live anywhere near that house, then again, you take it in consideration. So for me, that's what I kind of look at. And then even though like the bigger house that came through didn't have a lot of representation, it did about a year ago. But for just understanding in the community that the larger houses need to be looked at differently. And that's why I've been pushing and asking for a plan that's for houses that are more than 4 bedrooms that are vacant. So, right, like, because that enters into a different area. So really, again, for me, the permitting process is that neighbor representation and what's coming back and what we're hearing. Some neighbors don't care, so it's easy. It's like, great, okay, off you go. And then some do. So that's what I was looking at, why I continued with that TUP permit process.
Okay, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but shed some light. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Okay. Any other items we want to address right now before we look for a motion to adjourn? Okay, there it is. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? We are adjourned, and thank you everybody for your patience for the day. Not as long a day as we've had in the past, but still long enough.